So while we're here, let's go ahead and talk about a couple of the cards in the set. We got to see some of them today. Devin, why don't you pick out a couple? Which ones do you want to talk about?
So I unfortunately didn't pull too many great cards. I didn't pull like any fantastic Pokemon EX until after I have, after the tournament was over. But the cards I did use that were interesting for the pre-release, the one card that really sticks in my mind is Hawlucha. So for 1 energy, it lets you draw a card. It's a colorless energy. It can be put in any deck, essentially, although you'll want to play it in fighting. And it's so nice to have a good, solid lead that you can just start with in a pre-release. So I felt very comfortable with that. Plus, for 2 energy, 1 fighting and 1 colorless, it does 30 damage. You flip a coin. If you get heads, the opponent's paralyzed. So that's nice. The fact that it's also resistant to fighting was an amazing help, although the Hawlucha versus Hawlucha matches basically just led to a whole bunch of, all right, we're going to just leave Hawlucha up here and set up the rest of our bench and then see, who goes for it first, who's going to press the button first. And in my first battle, it was me. And it was really close. It actually ended up being a tie. It was just that ridiculous. But it added strategy, that Hawlucha. I liked it for a card in the set. Terrible after the set is, not in pre-release mode anymore, but it was fun for the event. I guess Lucario was also kind of interesting. It's very straightforward. Again, not something I would use beyond the pre-release, but still kind of neat. The Tyranitar, I did pull that as my promo, and it has such a high energy cost, but the fact that when you play it, you get 1 dark energy from your discard pile for every prize card that your opponent has taken, then out of nowhere, this Tyranitar can show up with 5 energy, do 150 damage, you discard the top 2 cards of your deck, and it could do 50 more for each supporter discarded. So it can just come out of nowhere and really surprise you. I don't know if I'd actually put an evolution line in my deck for it, but it was kind of a neat concept.
Yeah, it certainly could come in there in the late game. Let's see, there's also, you mentioned Hawlucha. I guess maybe it's a good thing the resistance isn't minus 30 anymore.
Oh my goodness, that would have been so slow going. Oh, that would have been the worst if it was minus 30. Even 10 is bad.
Yeah, definitely there. But I guess the other cards I wanted to mention is in one of the packs there, one of the side packs, the 22 carders. There's a Delphox that does damage based on the amount of energy, total energy in play between both players, which is something definitely to watch out for. I think that could even well make it into the main tournament format. What about you?
I haven't been following competitive as much, but I could see it having potential just because that's a lot of damage for just 3 energy, especially since it does have, at least I'm pretty sure it gets a break evolution, right? I haven't seen what it does, but I think that comboed with a really solid attack would just be awesome. I got wrecked by that in round 3. It was just not fun. Ugh.
Yeah, unfortunately, I also saw that in round 2 because I made the mistake of not using the water Pokemon in my 22 card pack to sort of beef things up. I decided to focus more on the fighting side of it. All right, well, thank you very much, Devin. This has been Stephen Reich from Pegasus Games in Madison, Wisconsin, at one of the Pokemon Trading Card Game Fates Collide pre-releases. Hi folks, Steven here with a bit of Pokemon music news. So, a few weeks ago, Pokemon announced that they are discontinuing support for the Android Pokemon Jukebox app. I'm not sure exactly why this is, but I can only assume that it wasn't seeing the use they had hoped for. In any event, I'm interested in doing a retrospective/interview, so if you've been using the app and meet our general criteria, go ahead and drop us a line. Thanks.